There are a lot of great open world games, and most gamers love to explore a huge map with a lot of stuff to do. There are games like Witcher 3 and RDR2, but in this video I will be talking about big open world games that are not really popular and can be considered underrated for the genre. So let's get started. Red Faction Guerrilla. If you love chaotic destruction and freedom to go wild, Red Faction Guerrilla is an underrated gem you absolutely need to try. Released in 2009, this open world game does something that few games even attempt. It lets you destroy literally everything. Set on Mars, you play as Alec Mason, a miner turned rebel fighting against the oppressive Earth Defense Force EDF. The story is straightforward, but the real star here is the gameplay. Thanks to the game's Geomod 2.0 engine, every building, structure, and piece of the environment is fully destructible. Want to bring down an EDF base with a few well-placed charges? Go for it. Smash through walls with a sledgehammer? Be my guest. The sheer freedom to level an entire settlement is ridiculously fun and never gets old. The open world Mars setting is gritty and industrial, with massive red deserts and futuristic mining facilities that give the game a unique vibe. While the map isn't as densely packed as modern open world titles, the freedom to approach objectives however you like, whether it's stealth, explosives, or vehicular chaos, makes every mission feel fresh. And let's talk vehicles. From trucks to tanks, you can commandeer a range of machines to wreak havoc. Plus, multiplayer modes with their own destruction mechanics give the game even more replayability. Whether you're a fan of open world mayhem or just love blowing stuff up, Red Faction Guerrilla is a must-play. It's pure, underrated chaos that still holds up today. Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs is one of those open world games that didn't get the recognition it deserved. Released in 2014, it introduced a fresh twist to the genre by putting technology and hacking at the center of its gameplay. While the sequels refined the formula, the original still stands out for its unique atmosphere and creative approach to problem solving. Set in a moody, near-futuristic Chicago, you step into the shoes of Aiden Pierce, a vigilante hacker on a mission for revenge after a tragedy involving his family. The story has a dark, personal tone, and while Aiden might not be the most charismatic lead, his journey feels grounded in the gritty, morally ambiguous world he inhabits. The star of the show is the city itself. Chicago in Watch Dogs is detailed and alive, with NPCs going about their day, weather effects that add atmosphere, rainy nights are especially stunning, and a sense of interactivity that few open world games achieve. What sets it apart though is how you interact with this world. Through your hacking abilities, you can control the entire city. Traffic lights, bridges, security cameras, and even personal data from NPCs are all tools at your disposal. This gives you an incredible amount of freedom. Escaping the police? Hack a traffic light to cause a massive pileup or raise a bridge to block their path. Need to infiltrate a heavily guarded compound? Use cameras to scout ahead, hack gates to create distractions or trigger explosions remotely. The game constantly rewards creativity, and no two missions play out the same way. Combat and stealth are solid, with plenty of gadgets and weapons to mix things up. You can go loud with guns blazing or stay in the shadows, using your hacking tools to outsmart enemies. The game also has a robust skill tree, letting you improve Aiden's hacking abilities, driving, and combat skills as you progress. While Watch Dogs didn't quite live up to its sky-high pre-release hype, it's an ambitious and underrated gem. The combination of hacking, stealth, and open-world exploration makes it a unique experience, and its version of Chicago is one of the most atmospheric settings in the genre. If you skipped it back in the day, it's absolutely worth a second look now. Kingdom Come Deliverance. Kingdom Come Deliverance is the ultimate underdog story, not just in its narrative but as a game. Released in 2018, This open-world RPG from Warhorse Studios is a brutally realistic take on medieval life, setting itself apart with its attention to historical accuracy and grounded gameplay. If you're tired of magical dragons and over-the-top heroics, this game's raw, gritty realism might be exactly what you're looking for. Set in the kingdom of Bohemia, modern-day Czech Republic in 1403, you play as Henry, the son of a blacksmith who's thrust into chaos after his village is attacked. Unlike most RPGs, Henry isn't a chosen one or a battle-hardened warrior, he's just a regular guy trying to survive, which makes his journey all the more relatable. You'll learn skills like sword fighting, archery, and even reading as you progress, making Henry's evolution feel earned. The game's open world is absolutely stunning, filled with rolling countryside, dense forests, and bustling medieval towns. Everything is meticulously researched, from the architecture to the clothing, immersing you in the era like few games can. NPCs have daily routines, giving the world a lived-in feel, and you'll spend plenty of time exploring, trading, and interacting with its richly detailed environment. Combat is one of the standout features, and it's unlike anything you've played before. It's slow, deliberate, and challenging with a focus on timing and precision. Sword fights feel intense and weighty, requiring practice to master. You can't just button mash your way to victory, every swing matters. And then there's the story, which is full of political intrigue, betrayal, and personal stakes. While the main quest is gripping, the side quests are just as engaging, often offering moral dilemmas that don't have a clear right or wrong answer. Whether you're helping a wayward priest at a drunken feast or investigating a murder in a small village, the writing makes every interaction feel meaningful. What really makes Kingdom Come special is how uncompromising it is. It doesn't hold your hand. You'll need to eat, sleep, and keep your gear in good condition. Fail to prepare, and you'll pay the price. But that's part of the charm. It feels authentic, challenging, and rewarding when you succeed. For anyone looking for a unique, immersive open-world experience with a focus on realism, Kingdom Come Deliverance is a must-play. It's an underrated gem that deserves way more love.
A man who never eats whole buns is never a whole man.
I'll take some, thanks.
You look like you could use a
Sleeping Dogs. Sleeping Dogs is one of the most underrated open-world games ever made. Released in 2012, it's a gritty and stylish take on the crime genre, blending the intensity of an undercover cop story with a vibrant and bustling version of Hong Kong. I think Grand Theft Auto meets Yakuza, but with its own unique flavor. You play as Wei Shen, an undercover cop infiltrating the Sun on Yi, a dangerous triad organization. The story is gripping, packed with loyalty tests, betrayals, and moments where the line between cop and criminal blurs. Wei's journey is not only intense, but also surprisingly emotional, making you care about the characters and the stakes involved. Hong Kong itself is a star of the game. The city feels alive, from the neon-lit night markets to the rainy, crowded streets buzzing with chatter and activity. Exploring the world is a joy, with tons of side activities like street races, karaoke, and martial arts fight clubs to keep you busy. The gameplay stands out with its focus on hand-to-hand combat. Inspired by martial arts movies, the fighting system is fluid and satisfying, with counters, combos, and brutal environmental takedowns. Slamming an enemy into an air conditioning unit or tossing them into a fish tank never gets old. Gunplay and car chases add variety, but it's the melee combat that steals the show. Customization is also a blast. You can tweak ways, look with different outfits that offer gameplay bonuses, and the skill trees let you develop as cop or triad abilities depending on your playstyle. The balance between playing as a law enforcer and a criminal adds depth to every decision. Sleeping Dogs doesn't just deliver an engaging main story, its side quests and world building pull you deeper into Hong Kong's underbelly. Whether you're busting drug rings, helping civilians, or betting on cockfights, there's always something to do. This game flew under the radar for many, but it's a hidden gem that deserves a second chance. If you're into open world action with a fantastic story and unforgettable combat, Sleeping Dogs is a must-play. Days Gone. Days Gone is an open world game that didn't get the love it deserved when it launched in 2019, but it's quietly built a strong reputation as a hidden gem. Blending survival mechanics, a heartfelt story, and hordes of terrifying freakers, this post-apocalyptic adventure is way better than you've heard. You play as Deacon St. John, a drifter and bounty hunter navigating a world overrun by infected creatures known as freakers. The story starts slow but grows into an emotional journey about loss, survival, and hope. Deacon's relationship with his wife Sarah and best friend Boozer drives much of the narrative, grounding the game in personal stakes that hit surprisingly hard. The open world is set in the rugged, post-apocalyptic Pacific Northwest, and it's stunning. From dense forests and abandoned towns to snowy mountains and vast highways, every corner of the map feels alive and hostile. The dynamic weather and day-night cycle don't just look good, they directly affect gameplay. Freakers are more aggressive at night, and storms can make travel and combat even more intense. The gameplay is where Days Gone really shines. Your motorcycle isn't just a vehicle, it's your lifeline. You'll need to keep it fueled, repaired, and upgraded as you use it to traverse the sprawling map. The combat is a mix of stealth, melee, and gunplay, but the real showstoppers are the freaker hordes. Facing hundreds of infected creatures at once is chaotic, terrifying, and incredibly satisfying when you finally take them down. Crafting and resource management add a layer of strategy, forcing you to scavenge for supplies and make every bullet count. Whether you're setting traps for a horde or sneaking through an abandoned sawmill to avoid detection, the tension is always high. Beyond the main story, the world is packed with side activities, clearing infestations, hunting bounties, and uncovering hidden lore. These tasks are more than filler, they build out the world and make you feel like a part of it. Days Gone may not have reinvented the genre, but it's a deeply immersive experience with fantastic gameplay and a story that sticks with you. If you missed it at launch, now's the time to give it a shot. It's one of the most underrated open world games out there. Immortals Fenyx Rising. Immortals Fenyx Rising is one of the most underrated open world games of the past few years, blending Greek mythology with a colorful art style and clever gameplay. Released in 2020, it's a breath of fresh air for fans of exploration, puzzles, and light-hearted storytelling. I think Breath of the Wild, but with a more humorous twist. You play as Fenyx, a mortal chosen to save the Greek gods from the monstrous Typhon. The story is narrated by Zeus and Prometheus, who provide witty, often sarcastic commentary on your journey. It's charming, self-aware, and doesn't take itself too seriously, making it a fun ride from start to finish. The open world is split into distinct regions, each representing a different god's domain. From the lush, golden fields of Aphrodite's Valley to the dark, volcanic landscapes of Hephaestus Forge, every area is beautifully designed and packed with things to discover. The colorful art style gives the world a unique charm that stands out from other open world games. Gameplay is a mix of combat, exploration, and puzzle solving. The combat is fast-paced and satisfying with a variety of weapons, godly powers, and enemies to keep you on your toes. Taking on massive mythical creatures like Cyclops and Hydrus feels epic, especially when you use abilities like Ares' Wrath or Hephaestus' Hammer to turn the tide. The puzzles are a highlight, often found in Vaults of Tartaros special challenge areas that test your logic, platforming, and combat skills. They're varied and rewarding, breaking up the exploration and combat with brain-teasing fun. If you're looking for an open world game with a lighthearted tone, creative gameplay, and a gorgeous world to explore, Immortals Fenyx Rising is a hidden gem worth your time. It's fun, funny, and packed with content that'll keep you busy for hours. Just Cause 3. Just Cause 3 is an open world game that's all about chaos, explosions, and having as much fun as possible. Released in 2015, it doesn't try to be overly serious, it just hands you a bunch of tools, throws you into a massive Mediterranean-inspired island, and says, go wild. You play as Rico Rodriguez, a one-man wrecking crew on a mission to liberate Medici, his homeland, from the grip of a ruthless dictator. The story is simple, but let's be real, that's not why you're here. You're here to blow stuff up in the most ridiculous ways possible. The map is enormous, filled with sprawling beaches, lush forests, and picturesque towns, but what sets Medici apart is its verticality. Rico's signature grappling hook and parachute are back, and Just Cause 3 takes it up a notch by adding the wingsuit. Flying across the map, chaining grapples to slingshot yourself forward, and using the parachute to hover above enemies never gets old. And the destruction? It's glorious. Every mission, every outpost, every enemy base is an excuse to let loose. You can topple massive fuel tanks, cause chain explosions, and even tether objects together to create your own hilarious physics experiments. Want to attach a helicopter to a gas canister and watch it spin out of control? Go for it. Combat is just as over the top as the rest of the game. Rico has access to a ridiculous arsenal of weapons, vehicles, and gadgets. Tanks, fighter jets, and boats are all at your disposal, and the sandbox-style gameplay lets you approach objectives however you want. The creativity is endless. While the missions can feel a bit repetitive, the sheer fun of experimenting with the tools the game gives you more than makes up for it. Just Cause 3 is less about precision and more about freedom to destroy, explore, and create chaos however you like. If you're looking for an open world game that doesn't take itself seriously and delivers non-stop action and laughs, Just Cause 3 is the perfect pick. It's an underrated gem that lets you unleash your inner mayhem artist. The Saboteur. The Saboteur is one of the most unique open world games you've probably never played. Released in 2009, it takes the open world formula and drops it into Nazi-occupied France during World War II, blending stealth, action, and style in a way that makes it stand out. You play as Sean Devlin, an Irish race car driver turned resistance fighter. His mission? Take revenge on the Nazis who wronged him and help liberate Paris from their grip. The story is a mix of personal stakes and larger-than-life rebellion, with Sean's sharp wit and brash personality keeping things entertaining. The game's most striking feature is its art style. Areas under heavy Nazi control are shown in black and white, with splashes of red for Nazi symbols and flags. As you take back control through sabotage and resistance efforts, color returns to those areas, symbolizing hope and freedom. It's a bold, creative choice that makes every victory feel impactful. The gameplay is a mix of stealth, action, and exploration. You'll scale buildings like a guerrilla Assassin's Creed, plant bombs on key targets, and sneak through Nazi outposts. Or, if subtlety isn't your thing, you can go in guns blazing with a full arsenal. The freedom to approach missions your way keeps things fresh. Paris is a stunning open world to explore, with its iconic landmarks, winding streets, and countryside offering a mix of urban and rural combat zones. There's plenty to do outside of the main missions, from taking out Nazi propaganda towers to racing cars across the map. The game's tone strikes a balance between serious and playful, with Sean's charm and the vibrant side characters keeping things light even in the midst of heavy subject matter. And the jazzy soundtrack adds a layer of cool that fits the game's atmosphere perfectly. The Saboteur may not have received the attention it deserved at launch, but it's a hidden gem that offers a fresh take on the open world genre. If you're looking for something different, stylish, and packed with rebellion-fueled fun, this one's worth tracking down.
They put it in a box. I want that box here.
Mafia 3. Mafia 3 is a game that divides opinion, but it's also one of the most underrated open world titles for those willing to embrace its strengths. Released in 2016, it delivered a powerful story, a richly atmospheric setting, and one of the most memorable protagonists in gaming, but its repetitive mission structure left many players frustrated. Let's unpack both sides of the coin. You play as Lincoln Clay, a Vietnam War veteran on a relentless quest for revenge after being betrayed by the Italian mob. The story is where Mafia 3 shines brightest, told through a mix of flashbacks, in-game action, and faux documentary-style cutscenes. It's an emotionally gripping tale that doesn't shy away from heavy topics like racism, power struggles, and the harsh realities of 1968 America. Lincoln's journey isn't just about building a criminal empire, it's a deeply personal mission that makes every move feel significant. New Bordeaux, the game's fictional version of New Orleans, is dripping with atmosphere. From the swampy bayous to the jazzy downtown streets, the city feels alive and steeped in the culture of the era. The setting is further enriched by a killer soundtrack featuring iconic tracks from the 60s driving through the streets while Sam Cooke or Creedence Clearwater Revival plays is an experience in itself. But here's where the criticism comes in the gameplay loop. Many players were turned off by the repetitive mission structure. Taking over districts often boils down to similar objectives: eliminate enemies, destroy supplies, interrogate targets, and the lack of variety can make the gameplay feel like a grind. For some, this overshadowed the game's otherwise excellent world building and narrative. However, those who stuck with it found a lot to love. The combat is raw and intense, blending brutal melee takedowns, satisfying gunplay, and stealth options. The strategy of assigning districts to your lieutenants adds depth, with each choice impacting your empire and relationships. And Lincoln himself is a force of nature, a protagonist who feels fully realized, with a story that makes his actions resonate. While Mafia 3 has its flaws, it's a game with undeniable ambition. It's not for everyone, but if you're drawn to strong characters, compelling stories, and immersive worlds, it's worth giving it another shot, especially if you can approach it with an appreciation for its storytelling over its mechanics. Far Cry Primal. Far Cry Primal is a unique twist on the Far Cry formula, taking the series all the way back to the Stone Age. Released in 2016, it ditches guns and explosions for spears, clubs, and saber-toothed tigers, delivering an open-world experience that feels fresh and surprisingly immersive. While it might not have gotten the attention of its more explosive counterparts, it's a game that deserves another look. You play as Takar, a member of the Wenja tribe, on a mission to unite your people and survive in the harsh, prehistoric land of Oros. The story is simple but effective, focusing on tribal warfare, survival, and the brutal realities of life in 10,000 BCE. It's all about carving out your place in a world where everything, including the environment, is trying to kill you. The world of Oros is stunning. From lush forests and frozen tundras to rivers teeming with wildlife, the map feels alive in a way few open-world games achieve. The lack of modern technology makes you pay closer attention to the world around you, relying on your instincts and tools to navigate the terrain and hunt for resources. The gameplay strips things down to the basics, but keeps it engaging. Without guns, you'll use spears, bows, and clubs to hunt animals and fight rival tribes. The crafting system plays a huge role. You'll need to gather materials to upgrade your weapons, gear, and even your village. And let's not forget the Beastmaster mechanic, which lets you tame animals like wolves, bears, and even a freaking saber-toothed tiger to fight alongside you. Riding a mammoth into battle, absolutely satisfying. Primal leans heavily into survival mechanics. Hunting for food, crafting fire, and dealing with predators all add layers of tension, especially when venturing into the dark. The game's use of a fictional proto-language and immersive sound design pulls you deeper into the setting, making every encounter feel raw and primal. That said, Far Cry Primal faced criticism for its simpler story and repetitive mission structure, which some players felt didn't match the scale of its world. But for those willing to embrace its slower, survival-focused pace, it's a rewarding experience that stands apart from the rest of the series. If you're looking for something different in the open world genre, Far Cry Primal offers a fresh, prehistoric take that's worth exploring. It's not perfect, but it's bold, beautiful, and utterly unique.
Say? Oh, Saints, come and see! Come and see, oh, Saints!
Mad Max. Mad Max is one of the most criminally underrated open world games out there. Released in 2015, it's a gritty, action-packed adventure that captures the chaos and desolation of the wasteland while offering some of the most satisfying vehicular combat in gaming. You play as Max Rockatansky, the iconic lone wanderer on a mission to build the ultimate car, the magnum opus, and survive in a brutal, post-apocalyptic world ruled by warlords and scavengers. The story is straightforward but compelling, serving as a perfect excuse to dive into the world of scrap, sand, and survival. The wasteland is the real star of the game, It's barren yet beautiful, with sprawling deserts, jagged cliffs, and massive storms that can swallow you whole. Despite the harsh environment, there's a surprising amount of variety, with locations like abandoned refineries, hidden caves, and eerie sunken ruins to explore. The gameplay is a mix of brutal melee combat, open world exploration, and, most notably, vehicular mayhem. The car combat is where Mad Max truly shines. Upgrading the magnum opus with spikes, flamethrowers, harpoons, and nitro boosts turns every encounter into a high-octane spectacle. Chasing down convoys or ripping enemies out of their vehicles with a harpoon never gets old. On foot, Max's combat is raw and punishing, with a system reminiscent of the Arkham games, but with a heavier, more visceral feel. Every punch, counter, and ground slam feels impactful, especially when you're up against warboys screaming for blood. The progression system is deeply rewarding. You'll scavenge for scrap to upgrade both Max and the magnum opus, turning them into unstoppable forces. The world is packed with side activities, from clearing out enemy camps to taking down massive convoys, and everything you do feeds back into making your arsenal stronger. While some criticize the game for its repetitive mission structure, it's the atmosphere and mechanics that steal the show. Few games nail the tone and style of their source material as well as Mad Max does. From the roaring engines to the dust storms that force you to fight for survival, it feels like a love letter to George Miller's iconic universe. If you're a fan of open world games or the Mad Max franchise, this one's a must play. It's gritty, chaotic, and one of the most immersive wasteland experiences gaming has to offer.
Knew it'd be hard. Damn.
Ryzen 3 Titan Lords. Ryzen 3 Titan Lords is a hidden gem in the open world RPG genre, offering a rich world filled with exploration, combat, and choice-driven gameplay. Released in 2014, it's an ambitious, pirate-themed adventure that blends fantasy and swashbuckling with a touch of the supernatural. While it didn't get the spotlight it deserved, it's a game that fans of old-school RPGs should definitely check out. You play as a nameless protagonist who, after having his soul stolen, must travel across a sprawling archipelago to reclaim it. The story is packed with pirates, voodoo magic, and ancient titans, with plenty of twists and moral decisions to make along the way. It's not groundbreaking, but it keeps you engaged as you carve your own path in this rugged world. The world of Risen 3 is its strongest feature. The islands are diverse, featuring tropical beaches, dense jungles, volcanic landscapes, and crumbling ruins filled with treasures and dangers. Exploration feels rewarding, with hidden caves, powerful enemies, and loot scattered everywhere. Every corner of the world feels like it has a secret waiting to be discovered. Combat is a mix of melee, magic, and ranged attacks, giving you flexibility to build your character the way you want. While the mechanics can feel clunky at times, the game's depth makes up for it. You can join different factions like the Guardians or the Demon Hunters, each offering unique skills, quests, and gear that affect your playstyle. The progression system is classic RPG fare, with plenty of customization options for upgrading your abilities, learning new skills, and crafting better gear. You'll spend time leveling up, managing resources, and figuring out the best way to tackle the game's tough enemies. If you're a fan of open world exploration and miss the days of RPGs that didn't hold your hand, Ryzen 3 Titan Lords is worth your time. It's not perfect, but its rich world and classic RPG feel make it an underrated adventure that's easy to get lost in.
The only ones here. We need to stop them, or they'll get to the treasure before us.
Stop, Ushio, you piece of shit!
Yakuza Like a Dragon. Yakuza Like a Dragon is a bold reinvention of the Yakuza series, blending its signature over-the-top drama and quirky humor with a fresh, turn-based RPG combat system. Released in 2020, it's an open-world gem that offers something new while staying true to the series' charm. This time, you play as Ichiban Kasuga, a low-ranking Yakuza who takes the fall for his boss, only to be betrayed after serving 18 years in prison. What follows is an emotional and often hilarious journey as Ichiban tries to rebuild his life and uncover the truth behind his betrayal. Unlike the stoic Kazuma Kiryu, Ichiban is a lovable underdog who wears his heart on his sleeve, making him an instantly relatable protagonist. The game's setting, Yokohama, is a vibrant and sprawling city filled with things to do. From karaoke bars and batting cages to pachinko parlors and hilarious side quests, the world is packed with activities that let you take a break from the main story. You can even run a business empire or race go-karts around the streets. Combat is where Like a Dragon shakes things up. The shift to turn-based RPG mechanics might seem risky, but it works brilliantly. Ishiban imagines his battles as if they were in a classic JRPG, complete with wild enemy designs and ridiculous moves. Your party members, ranging from an ex-cop to a homeless man with flaming breath, add personality and unique skills to every fight. The job system takes the RPG feel even further. You can assign your party roles like chef, musician, or breakdancer, each with its own abilities and wacky animations. The variety keeps battles fresh and lets you experiment with different strategies. The story is classic Yakuza, a mix of heartfelt drama, intense action, and absurd comedy. One moment you're uncovering a political conspiracy, and the next you're helping someone find a lost crawfish. It's this balance of serious and silly that makes the game so special. Yakuza Like a Dragon is a perfect entry point for newcomers and a refreshing change for longtime fans. Its unique combat, engaging story, and lively open world make it one of the most underrated RPG-style open world games out there.
Hey there, Ichi!
Here's the first line of defense.
Biomutant. Biomutant is an open-world RPG that's as weird and wonderful as its name suggests. Released in 2021, it combines a vibrant post-apocalyptic world, kung fu action, and quirky humor into a game that's bursting with personality. While it flew under the radar for many, it's a game worth exploring if you're into unique open-world experiences. You play as a customizable mutant creature navigating a world that's been ravaged by environmental collapse. The narrative revolves around rebuilding this fractured world, choosing whether to bring peace or chaos as you face the World Eater's massive creatures threatening the fragile ecosystem. Your choices shape the story and even how factions perceive you, adding weight to your decisions. The game's open world is gorgeous and brimming with creativity. From lush forests and toxic wastelands to icy mountains and sunken cities, every area feels distinct. The world is packed with hidden treasures, puzzles, and weird, inventive landmarks that encourage exploration. It's not the biggest map, but it's dense with things to do. Combat is where Biomutant shines. It's a hybrid of martial arts, gunplay, and mutant powers, letting you chain together combos and unleash devastating special attacks. Want to craft a flamethrower out of scrap? Go for it. Prefer smashing enemies with a giant, spiky club? That works too. The flexibility in how you approach combat makes every encounter fun. Crafting is another highlight. You can build weapons, gear, and gadgets from the random junk you find in the world, leading to some wild and hilarious combinations. Whether it's a rifle made of plumbing parts or a helmet made from an old toaster, the system encourages experimentation. While Biomutant faced criticism for its uneven pacing and overly chatty narrator, its charm lies in its creativity. The game doesn't take itself too seriously, and its quirky tone and colorful world make it feel like a breath of fresh air in a genre that often leans into realism. If you're looking for an open world game that's a little different with fast-paced combat, a vibrant world, and a ton of customization, Biomutant is worth giving a shot. It's not perfect, but it's packed with heart and ideas that set it apart.
That doesn't sound good. Out-of-date's forebodings are justified. The jumbo puff needs to be taken care of.
Nier Automata. Nier Automata isn't just an open world game, it's an unforgettable experience that blends action, storytelling, and existential questions into something truly unique. Released in 2017, this cult hit from Platinum Games and Yoko Taro has gained a massive following, but it still doesn't get enough credit as an open world gem. You play as 2B, a stoic android soldier, alongside her companion 9S, as they fight to reclaim Earth from a race of alien machines. What starts as a straightforward post-apocalyptic war evolves into a deeply emotional, thought-provoking narrative about humanity, identity, and purpose. The story unfolds across multiple playthroughs, with each one adding new layers and perspectives, making it a game that rewards patience and curiosity. The open world is a mix of ruined cities, barren deserts, lush forests, and haunting industrial zones. While not the largest map, it's packed with atmosphere and small details that make it feel alive. Exploring these areas is rewarding with hidden lore, side quests, and collectibles scattered throughout. combat is pure Platinum Games magic fast, fluid, and ridiculously fun. You'll chain together sword slashes, ranged attacks, and flashy dodges in a way that feels effortless but still challenging. The variety of weapons and the ability to customize your skills with plug-in chips make every encounter exciting. What truly sets Nier Automata apart is its willingness to break conventions. The game shifts between gameplay styles effortlessly. One moment you're in a high-octane hack and slash battle, the next you're piloting a mech in a bullet hell sequence, and then you're solving puzzles or hacking into enemy systems. It keeps you on your toes and never feels repetitive. Side quests, often overlooked in open world games, are a highlight here. They're packed with meaningful stories that delve into the lives of the androids and machines, often delivering emotional gut punches that rival the main narrative. These aren't just filler, they're essential to understanding the game's themes. The soundtrack is another standout. The hauntingly beautiful music, combined with the game's minimalist yet powerful visuals, creates an atmosphere that's hard to forget. Nier Automata isn't just a game, it's an experience that stays with you long after the credits roll, and trust me, you'll see those credits more than once. It's an underrated masterpiece that deserves all the praise and then some. The Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds is a criminally underrated open-world RPG that blends sharp humor, player choice, and a colorful sci-fi setting into a memorable adventure. Released in 2019 by Obsidian Entertainment, the minds behind Fallout New Vegas, it's a smaller, more focused take on the open-world formula that still offers tons of depth and fun. You wake up from cryosleep as the wildcard colonist aboard a lost ship, dropped into a corporate-run galaxy where capitalism has gone completely off the rails. The story is equal parts satire and personal, letting you decide whether to topple the greedy corporations, side with them, or carve out your own chaotic path. Your choices genuinely matter, affecting the outcome of quests, characters' lives, and even entire settlements. The worlds themselves are smaller than massive open world games, but they're packed with detail and personality. Each planet or settlement offers a unique vibe, from the corporate dystopia of Edgewater to the neon-lit city of Byzantium. Exploration is rewarding, with side quests, secrets, and lore scattered everywhere. Combat feels snappy and versatile, with a mix of gunplay, melee, and abilities like the hilariously over-the-top tactical time dilation, which lets you slow down time to target weak points or pull off stylish kills. The weapons and gear are varied, and you can mod them to suit your playstyle, whether you want to go in guns blazing or sneak through enemy strongholds. What sets The Outer Worlds apart is its humor and writing. The dialogue is sharp, witty, and often laugh-out-loud funny, especially when interacting with quirky NPCs or your misfit companions. Each companion has a distinct personality, backstory, and set of abilities, and their banter during missions adds another layer of charm. The game doesn't overstay its welcome, clocking in at around 20 to 30 hours, but it's packed with replayability thanks to its branching storylines and moral choices. Whether you're persuading enemies to stand down, betraying allies, or sweet-talking your way through corporate bureaucrats, every playthrough feels fresh. If you're a fan of narrative-driven RPGs with strong characters, a vibrant world, and a healthy dose of dark humor, The Outer Worlds is a must-play. It's proof that you don't need a massive map to deliver an unforgettable open-world experience. ELEX. ELEX is an ambitious open-world RPG from Piranha Bytes, the studio behind Gothic and Risen. Released in 2017, it combines post-apocalyptic survival with sci-fi and fantasy elements, creating a world that feels both unique and challenging. While it may not have reached mainstream success, it's a hidden gem for fans of old-school RPGs who enjoy deep exploration and tough choices. You play as Jax, a former commander of the LB faction who's betrayed and left for dead. Stripped of your power, you're thrust into the chaotic world of Magellan, a planet ravaged by a meteor strike that introduced ELEX, a mysterious substance that powers technology and grants magical abilities. The story revolves around Jax's quest for revenge, survival, and finding his place in this fractured world. Magellan is a sprawling open world filled with danger, discovery, and distinct factions. The The Berserkers embrace magic and medieval tools. The Outlaws thrive on chaos and scavenging, and the Clerics worship technology. Each faction offers unique quests, gear, and philosophies, and your choice of allegiance shapes your experience. Exploration is the heart of ELEX. The game doesn't hold your hand, throwing you into a brutal world where even basic enemies can overwhelm you early on. But as you level up, gather better equipment, and adapt to the environment, the sense of progression is deeply satisfying. The addition of a jetpack is a game changer, letting you traverse cliffs, ruins, and enemy bases with ease while opening up vertical exploration. Combat is a mix of melee, ranged, and magical attacks, but it requires patience and planning. Early on, you'll struggle, but as you master the mechanics and tailor Jax's skills, fights become more rewarding. Crafting and upgrading weapons also play a big role, letting you fine-tune your approach to combat. While ELEX received criticism for its clunky combat and steep difficulty curve, its strengths lie in its world building and player freedom. The game gives you the tools to forge your own path, whether you want to ally with a faction, betray everyone, or carve out your own chaotic destiny. If you're a fan of hardcore RPGs that challenge you to explore and survive, ELEX is a game that deserves your time. It's rough around the edges but packed with ambition and heart, making it a standout in the open world genre. Rage 2. Rage 2 is an open world game that's all about fast-paced action, chaotic combat, and vibrant post-apocalyptic mayhem. Released in 2019, this sequel took the foundation of the first Rage and cranked it up with neon-soaked visuals, over-the-top weapons, and an open world begging for destruction. While it flew under the radar for many, it's a wild ride that deserves more attention. You play as Walker, the last ranger of Vineland, tasked with taking down a villainous group called the Authority. The story isn't groundbreaking, but it serves as the perfect backdrop for a game focused on explosive combat and pure fun. I think Mad Max meets Doom, and you'll get the vibe. The open world is packed with personality, featuring distinct biomes like sun-scorched deserts, lush swamps, and neon-lit ruins. It's not the biggest map, but it's dense with enemy outposts, convoys, and secret locations to uncover. The colorful aesthetic sets it apart from the typical bleak post-apocalyptic look, giving the game a unique visual identity. The gameplay is where Rage 2 shines. The combat is fast, fluid, and ridiculously satisfying, with a focus on high mobility and creative destruction. Weapons like the Grav Dart Launcher and the Firestorm Revolver feel incredible to use, and the nanotrite abilities like shattering enemies with a forced push or slamming into the ground to send them flying add layers of chaos to every fight. Vehicles also play a big role, and while driving isn't as tight as the combat, cruising through the wasteland in your customizable Fenyx car feels great. You can even engage in vehicular battles, taking on roving bandits and massive convoys loaded with enemies and loot. The game's biggest criticism was its lack of mission variety and story depth. While the core gameplay is fantastic, the open world sometimes feels like it's missing that extra layer of substance. But for those who love blowing stuff up and experimenting with fun weapons and powers, the adrenaline-fueled action more than makes up for it. If you're looking for an open world game that doesn't take itself too seriously and delivers pure, unfiltered fun, Rage 2 is a blast. It's an underrated gem for fans of chaotic combat and colorful post-apocalyptic vibes. Sunset Overdrive. Sunset Overdrive is an open world game that throws realism out the window and says, let's just have fun. Released in 2014 as an Xbox One exclusive, this vibrant, chaotic, and downright hilarious adventure is a hidden gem that never got the spotlight it deserved. You play as an unnamed protagonist, fully customizable, stuck in the city of Sunset City after a toxic energy drink, overcharged Delirium XT turns most of the population into mutated monsters called OD. Your mission? Escape the city while shredding mutants, helping quirky factions, and looking ridiculously cool while doing it. The game's world is a candy-colored playground packed with over-the-top action and absurd humor. Sunset City is bright, wild, and full of personality, with its sprawling rooftops, amusement parks, and industrial zones begging to be explored. It's the perfect backdrop for the game's signature traversal system. Speaking of traversal, Sunset Overdrive isn't about walking or running, it's about grinding, bouncing, and zipping through the city at breakneck speed. You'll grind on power lines, wall run across buildings, and bounce off cars and trampolines, all while firing weapons at enemies below. The movement is fast, fluid, and endlessly satisfying, turning the city into your personal stunt arena. Combat is equally insane, with a wacky arsenal of weapons that feel ripped straight out of a fever dream. From the flaming compensator, a shotgun with style, to the T-Entity, a grenade launcher that fires explosive teddy bears, every weapon is as fun to use as it sounds. Combining creative weaponry with smooth traversal makes every battle a chaotic blast. While the main missions are great, the side activities and challenges add even more chaos to the mix. Whether you're defending vats of overcharge from waves of audio or pulling off insane traversal stunts, there's always something fun to do. If you're tired of overly serious open world games and want something colorful, energetic, and unapologetically fun, Sunset Overdrive is a must play. It's a love letter to chaos, creativity, and not taking life too seriously.